Uh, Hi, my name is Hayden Howard, and I will be interviewing Ariana Cheng, one of the authors of Addressing Ableism, and Victoria Santarsiero. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. A film graduate from UCLA who also lives with Friedrich's Ataxia. Would you guys both be able to introduce yourselves and just give us a little more background on what you guys do on a day-to-day?
So my name is Victoria Santarsiero. I graduated from UCLA's film program in 2024, and since I've been doing freelance editing, I'm also currently working on a docu-series that I'm hoping is going to transition me into doing more union and industry work soon. So, yeah.
Awesome.
And then hi, I'm Ariana. I actually graduated UCLA 2 years ago in Human Bio and Society, and now I'm doing my master's in health administration. Outside of classes, I have an internship with Children's Hospital LA where I work with individuals with neurodevelopmental disorders, and we kind of go through case studies to find a different perspective on disability, and then also part-time with USC CAC for their marketing program in the hospital.
Awesome. Okay, Ariana, I will start you with our first question. How would you describe your book to somebody who has never read it?
I would say for people who are kind of getting into the world of like disability and healthcare, it's a good start for them to kind of navigate the history behind it, and then going forward, like how doctors and clinicians may perceive disability or different stories that individuals have in their encounters with disability. So I would say it's a good start for them to dive in and kind of gain an understanding of what they may not see like in the limelight.
Yeah, amazing. What was the turning point in your life that kind of like inspired you to write this book?
Well, my role was majority editing the book, so kind of just like understanding how people have viewed it and their life experiences, because especially in my life, I have a few family members who have disabilities and kind of go through their day-to-day life with struggles in terms of like accommodations or any services and treatments they might get. So kind of just like opening my eyes more and seeing what other people view and how they may encounter different services and treatment, which overall like helped me into my career path with health administration.
Amazing. Now, what do you think is like the biggest issue in the disabled community when it comes to healthcare?
I feel like there's a lot I could talk about that with that, but I guess at least when I work in my children's hospital cohort, I see a lot of like accommodations that aren't met, especially in school. Like UCLA, I feel like has a lot of stairs and stuff, and just like not having those accommodations and opportunities for people to make their life easier, unlike individuals who may not think about that every day. So just like figuring out ways that you could help to help ease the issues going on, and then maybe like with policy and stuff to like bring more awareness for certain things, just because I feel like it's always like brushed aside and not really worked on.
Yeah, thank you so much. Victoria, how would you describe Friedrich's Ataxia to someone who doesn't know what it is?
I feel like I always struggle to explain Friedrich's Ataxia to people. I kind of avoid telling people I had it in the beginning just because I feel like no one really knows what it is and then you have to look it up. And it's also such like a range of experiences, and like it's not one monolithic thing. So you look it up and you see this list of symptoms, and I feel like a lot of abled people will automatically assume that everyone with FA experiences those symptoms, but it really ranges, and my experience is not like everyone with FA, and everyone with FA is not like me.
Yeah, it's definitely a very wide spectrum.
But I usually just tell people that it's a progressive balance and coordination disability. That kind of ranges how it affects people.
Yeah, that's perfect. Nice and easy to explain. What does your life with FA look like as somebody in a creative career setting?
It's interesting. I feel like film in general is it's a very physically laborious art medium. If you're working on set, you're typically expected to do a 12-hour day and all expensive equipment to and back. It's a very demanding job. Thankfully with editing, I've kind of been able to find a way to navigate around that and not experience as much as that physical load. I would say my main issues kind of stem from ableism. I've definitely kind of experienced a lot of condescending. A lot of people undermine me and my work. And they underestimate me a lot of the time, and and I think it's hard because my identity is so much of it is interwoven with a ton of different factors. I'm disabled, I'm a woman, I'm young, I'm queer, and so a lot of times I don't even know why they're treating me that way. I don't know if it's one thing or a combination of all four, and that can be really frustrating. I also think it's a safety factor. I think it's something insane. 80% of disabled women have experienced SA, which I mean, being on the receiving end of a statistic like that, period, is terrifying. But then you add to it going into Hollywood, which already has a very dense and documented history of abuse, and it starts to become a question of when rather than what if, which is a lot to carry. And I've been incredibly lucky to have felt safe in the majority of places I've been in, but I think even then I'd be lying if I said it wasn't something that's constantly in the back of your mind. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Well, thank you. Is there anything that you would recommend to somebody else who's disabled who maybe wants to pursue the same career as you?
I would say be cautious of where you're at and everything. I think in college, because of the ableism I was experiencing, kind of pushed my body to extreme measures and would pull crazy all-nighters that would have been hard for any able person, let alone someone dealing with FA. And so, but at the end of the day, if you're not physically able to do something, that's gonna impact you more in the long run than getting in this deadline on time. So I would say just listen to your body and make sure you're communicating that with the people you're working with. And yeah.
Perfect. That definitely goes into my next question. What was both of your guys' experience at UCLA, if you noticed any ableism or not getting the right accessibility or accommodations?
Yeah. So at least for me, I took a few disability studies courses for my minor, which was anthropology, when I was in undergrad. So we talked a lot about those accommodation issues and just CAE in general, which encompasses like all the accommodations where you have to send in all your paperwork. And I felt like a lot of my classmates who had to send in paperwork, it was just such a long process for them. Like they did not make them easy to like approve, and especially if you need like housing accommodations where you may need to single for like certain experiences. It was just such a hard project, and I feel like they could find a way to streamline all of that and like paperwork into one, because sometimes like even if you needed a accommodation for a test, for example, and it was coming up, they would just wait until too last minute to like approve anything. And then also, I guess the major thing was just like infrastructure. I feel like the campus itself is pretty inaccessible. And then I was talking to my roommate actually, and she was saying how she wishes there was like separate maps for more accessible routes, because I know a lot of the maps on campus are just like, oh, take the stairs, like go through this. But it's hard to navigate like finding all the elevators, or just like, because it's a very hilly campus, so it's always like, oh, just go around, whereas there might be a faster way to get there. So just like building better infrastructure and then providing more accessible opportunities for like CE or any needs they may have.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, kind of going off that point, I feel like UCLA's accessibility in terms of the campus is like insanely bad, and a lot of it necessarily isn't their fault. I think it's mostly displacement. Like there's so many hills.
Yeah.
And that's horrible to have to deal with, and it's just so big. Like I think the film building was at the very far end of campus, and dorms would be on the opposite end, and that distance alone was like a mile or two.
Yeah.
It's insane.
They did start having like rideshare and pickup spots for everyone to get around campus, which was really helpful too.
Yeah.
Good.
But a lot of times I would like have to take an Uber just to get to class every day, because like the accessibility shuttle would always get so behind schedule and everything. I would often have to like schedule it like 2 hours in advance. But I also kind of feel like a lot of the issues I experienced at UCLA would have kind of existed anywhere, like at any college, because like at the end of the day, an institution's an institution. Unfortunately, and I feel like a lot of higher education like isn't really designed with disabled people in mind.
Yeah,
there are a lot of buildings with like ramps in the very back that I would have to like circle like 3 times just to find.
Perfect. And then if you guys had to give advice to anyone with a disability who might be a little nervous while attending college, what would you say to them?
I guess for me, it was like the same for me, but to just educate yourself and like trying to figure out like what's happening right now, because I know a lot of people might overlook some of the issues. And of course, like when I came into my internship experiences, I didn't really think about it as much. But then like we can't be taking our own bodies for granted. Like we gotta understand what other people go through and see their perspectives. So just like educating yourself.
Yeah, I would say like educate yourself about like what resources are available to you. And like also make sure you're advocating for yourself and don't be silent when you do experience ableism or run into an issue with accessibility. I feel like when I first got into UCLA, I like really struggled with that, because I thought it was almost like a privilege for me to be in this place. But at the end of the day, you're paying the tuition everyone else is. You got into the school, you deserve to be there just as much as anyone else, and you deserve to be able to enjoy your time there and get the most you can out of it. So
Yeah, 100%. Well, is there anything else that you guys wanted to say, talk about, bring up, address?
I'm good.
Alright. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and that does conclude our interview for Addressing Ableism.